Imagine throwing away a handful of cherries because they look a little too lopsided or slightly too soft. Now imagine that those very cherries, destined for the compost heap or landfill, could one day help protect your brain from one of the most feared diseases of our time. That is exactly what new research is suggesting. What many consider food waste might actually be a hidden weapon in the fight against Alzheimer's disease. Cherries, especially the deep red varieties, have long been admired not just for their sweet tart flavor but for their rich color, which comes from powerful natural compounds. These pigments are not just for show. They are loaded with substances that act like bodyguards inside your cells, fighting damage and calming inflammation. Scientists have known for years that diets rich in colorful fruits and vegetables are linked to better brain health. But now, a fresh twist is emerging, not in what we eat, but in how we eat it. Instead of juicing cherries, a new study shows that turning them into powder may be far more effective at delivering their brain-protecting benefits. And here is the real kicker: the cherries used in this research were not the perfect ones you find in glossy supermarket displays. They were the imperfect, overlooked, and often discarded ones, the kind that never make it to store shelves. This means that something we throw away every day could be transformed into a powerful, natural health aid. The process is surprisingly simple. Rather than squeezing the juice out and tossing the leftover pulp, skin, and seeds, researchers took the entire fruit, including what is usually considered waste, and dried it into a fine powder. This method preserves a much higher concentration of key compounds, particularly a group called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give cherries their red hue, but they do much more than color fruit. They are antioxidants, meaning they help neutralize harmful molecules in the body that can damage cells over time. Think of them as cleanup crews sweeping through your bloodstream, mopping up chaos caused by pollution, stress, poor diet, and aging. But their role goes beyond basic cleanup. Chronic inflammation and oxidative stress are now understood to be major players in the development of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. When the brain is under constant low-level attack from these forces, the delicate wiring that allows us to think, remember, and function begins to fray. Over years, this damage can accumulate, leading to memory loss and cognitive decline. Anthocyanins, along with another compound in cherries called quercetin, appear to interfere with this process. They do not just clean up, they also send signals to cells that help them defend themselves, repair damage, and resist deterioration. What makes the powder approach so much more effective than juice? When you juice a cherry, you extract only the liquid portion. Most of the beneficial compounds are concentrated in the skin and the fibrous parts of the fruit. The juice might taste good, but it leaves behind much of the power. By turning the whole fruit into powder, including the parts usually discarded, you get a full-spectrum product. It is like choosing to eat the entire apple instead of just drinking its juice. More fiber, more nutrients, more bang for your bite. But this is not just about health. It is also about waste. Every year, millions of tons of perfectly edible food are thrown away, not because it is bad, but because it does not meet strict cosmetic standards or because processing creates excess. In the case of cherries, after juicing or canning, the leftover pulp and skins, known as pomace, are often treated as trash. Yet this pomace is packed with nutrients. Using it to make powder transforms a waste product into something valuable. It is a classic example of turning trash into treasure. This shift could have ripple effects across the food system. farmers and producers could find new markets for what they once considered useless. Instead of paying to dispose of surplus or imperfect fruit, they could sell it to companies making functional foods. This would not only reduce environmental impact but also support more sustainable farming practices. Less waste means fewer resources, water, land, energy, go to waste as well. It is a win for the planet and a win for public health. Now, picture this innovation spreading. Imagine grocery stores carrying jars of deep red cherry powder next to the protein powders and superfood blends. You could stir a spoonful into your morning oatmeal, blend it into a smoothie, or even bake it into muffins. Unlike synthetic supplements that can be expensive and inconsistent, this would be a whole food product, natural, minimally processed, and rooted in real agriculture. And because it uses fruit that would otherwise be thrown away, it could be affordable and accessible to more people. The implications for brain health are profound. Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia are on the rise, with cases expected to surge in the coming decades. There is still no cure, and treatments offer limited relief. But prevention might lie not in a lab-developed drug, but in the foods we already grow. Diets rich in berries, tea, dark chocolate, and red wine, foods high in flavonoids, the larger family to which anthocyanins belong, have been repeatedly linked to lower rates of cognitive decline. People who eat more of these foods tend to stay sharper for longer. This is not a miracle, but a slow, steady defense built over years through daily choices. What makes this cherry powder research so exciting is that it combines deep science with practical solutions. The team behind the study did not just analyze chemicals in a lab. They tested the real-world effects of the powder on living organisms known to share many biological pathways with humans. These models allowed them to see how the compounds affect aging, stress resistance, and neural function. The results showed that the cherry powder did more than just deliver nutrients. It actively supported healthier cellular function, suggesting it could play a role in delaying or even preventing the onset of neurodegenerative conditions. This is not about replacing medicine or ignoring the complexity of brain diseases. Alzheimer's is influenced by genetics, lifestyle, environment, and more. But nutrition is one of the few factors we can control. And when a simple change, like choosing a powder made from wasted fruit, can amplify the benefits of a healthy diet, it becomes a powerful tool. It is especially meaningful in a world where ultra-processed foods dominate, and fresh produce can be expensive or hard to access. A shelf-stable, nutrient-dense powder could help bridge that gap. There is also a deeper message here about how we view food. For too long, we have separated what is edible from what is valuable. We discard peels, stems, and imperfect shapes without thinking about what we are losing. But nature does not waste. In a forest, fallen leaves decompose into soil. In a beehive, every bit of pollen is used. Humans, however, have built a food system that throws away up to a third of everything it produces. This cherry research challenges that logic. It asks us to look again at what we call waste and to see it not as garbage, but as potential. Other fruits and vegetables may follow the same path. Apple pomace, grape skins from winemaking, carrot tops, broccoli stems, these are all rich in nutrients and often discarded. If the success of cherry powder can be replicated, we could see a wave of upcycled foods that do double duty, nourishing people and healing the planet. This is not just recycling, it is reimagining. And the beauty of it is that it does not require futuristic technology or expensive infrastructure. The methods used to create the powder are simple and scalable. With the right partnerships between scientists, farmers, and food producers, this could become a mainstream solution in a relatively short time. It does not need a pharmaceutical breakthrough or a medical revolution. It just needs us to change how we think about what we eat and what we throw away. In a world where health crises and environmental crises often feel overwhelming, this is a rare story of hope. It shows that solutions can be simple, local, and rooted in nature. It reminds us that sometimes, the most powerful tools are already in our hands, or in our orchards, gardens, and markets, waiting to be seen in a new light. So the next time you see a cherry that is a little too soft, a little too dented, or a little too odd-shaped, do not toss it. Imagine it dried, ground, and transformed into something that could help protect a mind. Because the fight against Alzheimer's might not begin in a high-tech lab, but in the humblest parts of the fruit we so often overlook. And in that, there is both science and poetry, a reminder that even in waste, there is life, and even in small choices, there is the power to change the future. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, hit that like button, subscribe for more eye-opening discoveries, and drop a comment below. What's one food you never thought could help fight disease? Don't forget to share this video with someone who loves cherries, or someone who might just need a little more brain power in their day. See you in the next video.